It's time for change to move into the real work of the universe. And it's time to understand that we use the matter state to reach the level of understanding of the soul of the man. Now you understand maybe why the Creator has sent his messengers in the name of whatever you have had. Is that they bring the ears that it can be used when the time of the Messiah comes. They can teach the soul and the message, not to oppose. But by them understanding through those who have become Messiahs to give from their souls to these to elevate, the job is made easy. The school is there and the students are devotedly there. Then there won't be any fight between what they call the Muslims and the Christians. The lamb and the lion will eat and sleep in the same nest. The Christians and the Muslims will sleep and pray in the mosque and in the same church in the name of their souls, not in the name of religion that is used to create so much conflict for the benefit of those who were the hyperactive children. The time has come, the time of change is here. And as I said, my wish is my command. If it's your wish to see peace, the path of peace is laid very clearly. It's the soul of the collective awareness. By giving will create that position of change. No other thing. There is no pen in the soul of the man. And I'm sure once you go into the universal community, you will never see anything written but the balance of the fields of the soul of the existence. Try to be humble enough not to become arrogant in the power that you have understood and you possess. Otherwise, you'll fall in the same path of the church and the mosque. This is what we promised, and this is what we have delivered. We have to understand the operation of the soul, and we have to understand the soul of the man is a star in the cosmos of the universe. If we compare the soul of the man and many of us, 7 billion in one collection, Earth is like a galaxy with so many stars. When we look in the depth of the universe, we see galaxies with hundreds of millions of stars in it. So is the planet Earth. It carries 7 billion beautiful stars, which are the soul of the man. Carries with it soul of so many trillions of animals, plants, and everything else. So if you look, when someone who does not see the physicality of the earth and its content, what do they see? They see a galaxy with so many beautiful lights shining, each one according to their strength, each one according to their position. An infant has a beautiful soul, so has the old man. To those who do not see the physical dimension of this planet, but they see the strength of the field, we are clusters of stars. The human race, every single soul, no one from a distance sees that's the soul of a fisherman, that's the soul of the cosmologist, that's the soul of the president. They all shine irrespective of the physicality. This is the magic. This is what the new science has to bring to man. When we look through our soul, we see nothing but we star in the other souls. And this is the break. This is the understanding. This is what all these teachings are about. Coming to mature to the next level, to understand in the deep space, the universe is the oyster for those souls who serve. Then man is ready to go into space. Then man is ready to become part of the universal community which has been promised. I never promised you heaven. I always promised you the elevation of the man to join the family. And now you have the key. It's you who has to open the door to understand, if I can raise the soul of these people or millions of other souls, that the physical life on this planet changes, then I'm worthy to be part of the universal community. To be there to serve, to expand, to be there, to be part, that in the cycle of life of universe, I become, in being part, I become part of the totality. When man reaches that point, a new dimension in the strength of the soul of the man will appear, which is beyond imagination of understanding of the physical life. It's the gate to the opening of the new life, in a new dimension, which is beyond imagination of what you might call a new beginning, a new cycle, which that cycle carries with itself the origin of the creation of life in the universe and in the universe. It's the elevation of the soul to serve become the key, not a throne of the physical life. The time is right. The time has come for the man to go through this process.
Welcome everyone to the 304th Knowledge Seekers Workshop for Thursday, November 28th, 2019. This is a broadcast of the Keshe Foundation Spaceship Institute public teachings in English. And I'm your host today, Rick Crammond, and as well as with Flint Malhausen. And of course, we have Mr. Keshe of the Keshe Foundation, once again available to speak to us today. And I think he's waiting nearby. Hello,
Yes,
Mr.
good
Keshe.
morning. Yes. Good morning, good day to you. As usual, wherever and whenever I listen to these knowledge seeker series of teaching. Today, we try to establish more knowledge and to understand more in how we can understand more about the work and the science of the soul of the man. The soul teaching has taken a very in-depth touch to many of the knowledge seekers. He has literally touched many of them, their souls, because It has brought them the understanding of what was a mystery, what was not understood, and what was claimed to be somewhere. And now, many knowledge seekers, as we speak to them and we see different lines of communication, are more interested. Now, as one says, they cannot tell us, they cannot cheat us, they cannot tell us it's not there, there is something somewhere. Now we know it's within us, it's part of us, is our existence. And this, what we call the enlightenment, this new understanding of the position of the soul of the man, has empowered many people to search for a deeper understanding of the truth about themselves. In a way, by finding the soul of the man to be within the man, has brought a lot of soul searching. A lot of knowledge seekers now come to understand and comprehend that it's them, by them, for them, and they're responsible for everything. And this is what is the purpose of these teachings. For man to find the truth about himself. For man to find out how what was imagined to be somewhere now is in and within the power of it, within the power of the man. The interesting point up to now has been to find it. Then now we have to find how we connect the soul to every soul of every cell. And then the next step for us in majority of the cases is, okay, I'm the last man standing, but how do I know who's there and who I can communicate with? And how would I know? How can I extend it to become part of, to be with, to be able to communicate, to be able to reach, to be able to touch? Can my soul touch the physicality of another being, or will it touch the soul of the another being? Can I create that dimension of the emotion that converts the feeling and the motion and thoughts of the soul to reality of understanding and in essence being in touch with? This is part of where we gradually try to take and trying to understand. Many people will walk away from this foundation very soon, as they have to face the truth about their soul. We know in the coming time, when the new universal enhancement units released, many will run out of these machines because they have to face the reality of their own existence. Because many will not walk into it, as they know they have to face the truth. As I said recently to one of the knowledge seekers, maybe the day of judgment for us to know our soul is when we walk into this universal universe. Then we understand what the truth is, what is hidden, what would be hidden. The most interesting part would be when, for example, we ask the beautiful people to walk in, would we see the three souls for man to be confirmed how misguided has been in the presence of the life of the man? Then we come to understand more that would this new understanding of the soul of the man would allow man to build, to establish, to communicate within the man. Would we be able to go deeper? Would we go in understanding more of? Would we go in the path to become more observant of our own ways? Thou shalt not steal. We do not let ourselves steal from ourselves, let alone we allow others to steal from us. What can it be done? What can we do? And to what extent do we come to understand the truth about the existence? Maybe through the soul, through understanding of the essence of the creation of the soul, through the understanding of the man to be alone as the last man standing within the soul of physicality of himself. Would we create a new dimension? Would we come to understand how to communicate between the physicality and the soul? Will we be able to progress to the next step, that then we can change the soul of the man in a strength that we can go through different dimensions of the existence, that we can exist while we are existing? Can we go to the limit? Can we go to understand more? Can we come to the point that in understanding the totality, we understand we know nothing, and become humble to become one of those that in the coming time will become the man to come? Would we understand the connection between the soul of the man and the physicality of the man? And would many of us walk away from these systems? As I said, mankind has been looking for this, but did not know how to operate within it. Mankind has gone through the system of understanding the existence of the soul in the past times, but now what are we going to do with it? Do we need to go further to understand more? Or now that we know, we stop, we contemplate that what we've been told for centuries and thousands of years by those who abused us, now we have to be able to show to what level they are. One of our knowledge seekers points to the point that what about we get to know how would we handle it? How can we handle the truth now that we understand the existence of the soul of man? Now that we achieve systems that creates the condition of life without the physical dimension, would it be the time that when we enter these enhancement machines, that the what we call the strength of the soul of the man goes to the point that allows the soul of the man to manifest itself? Would we be able to record the presence of the soul as a light within these systems? Then would the soul speak the truth in the dimension of the soul that we understand? This is one of the points which is, in a way, we say the clock is kicking. As it's ticking more and more, as we understand more, as we go through the phases, and phases changes to another phase, we come to see the truth about ourselves, our conducts, what we have done, what we have not done, what we did, and in so many ways, would we accept the position of transition? If I create a higher dimension in the strength within the structure of these enhancement units, where we enhance the soul of the man, would the mankind become to the point of seeing a new dimension of his own life? If we go further in the strength, would we come to see the other dimensions of the life in the strength of the Creator? Then how would we react? Would we see the light of the Creator? And then would we like to come back to the dimension of the physicality of the man while you're in this system? Many people will go and will find themselves lost in the maze of the truth of the universe. And in so many ways, do we need what we call the spaceships when we have found the ship which can take the soul of the man in the dimension of the universal condition to the Creator? The fields of the strength at the strength level of the Creator. With this new understanding, there is no limit. And in so many ways, we do have to come to realize that the soul of the man is nothing but the transition of fields in the dimension of the matter state of this planet. then mankind will step forward. And when the mankind sit on the seat of what we call the kingship of his soul, all will come to understand is the last man standing. As we have the physical children, would we see our children's soul as belonging to us or connected to us? Or do we still care as a parents for our own children in the dimension of the soul? Or we know in the strength, even their child, even in their infancy, they are the same strength of us. The life of the man takes a new course in understanding the truth about itself. Would us be able to transit and be able to go through the dimension of the soul, of the totality to the soul of a cell? And if we understand that, would be able to do to reach the soul of every being on this planet, as each one is nothing but a cell, but the light of totality. In the coming time, we'll see huge changes. And as I said, next most probably 60 days, 90 days, the course of mankind will change beyond recognition. It's days, not months, before these systems are launched on the surface of this planet. And which one of us dare to move in? Which one of us will sit to be able to see the dimension of the soul of itself? Let me explain to you something which I was explaining to some knowledge seekers and some friends recently, because I think it might enlighten them. In the solar system, in the dimension of the what we call dynamic motions of the light, or what we call magnetic fields of the universe, a dynamic field has created a dimension of the creation of the what we call the star, our sun. And in the weaker dimension, we have broken into understanding of what we call the weaker strength magnetic field of the universe, which up to now, before gases, was not at the reach of man. Those of knowledge seekers which come to understand and have understood, realize that the totality of understanding of the creation comes from the weaker plasma, not from the stronger plasma. In the dimension of stronger plasma, we see violent, very violent situations like the sun. What we see on the surface of it, what we see as volcanic eruptions, when the rest of the creation universe does not show such a sign. It shows the weaker plasma transition, which is why we brought in the knowledge of the what we call the GANs. Then, in the future, would mankind understand more about this, that he understands the closer he wants to get to the Creator, the weaker, the more giver he has to be. In so many ways, would mankind come to understand that the soul of the creation is the soul of the man, and within the soul of the man. In so many ways, as we said, the weaker plasma transition creates the dimension of the existence of our souls, the rotation, the spin. Well, as I said to our knowledge seekers before, man in the physical dimension of his body cannot do that. Otherwise, we'll be rotating like crazy. We'll be rotating so fast, trying to maintain and hold the plasma of the soul of the man within the body of the man. So we have found the replacement, as I said before, with circulation of the blood. There is no difference between the circulation of the blood within the body of the man, the movement and the motion of the what we call emotional currents within the body of the man, which has contained the soul of it, has contained what we call the plasma of the soul. Doesn't matter how little that plasma is. The little plasmas sometimes are more stronger than bigger plasmas. Then you understand the totality of existence in the condition of the electron and proton. Then you understand why the body of the man uses the soul of the man to confirm its existence. It shows its dimension, it shows its limitation, it shows its restriction. The same as when you have a plasma of hydrogen, we only see the atom of the hydrogen when the electrons and protons move while they're rotating around themselves, rotating in respect to each other. That creates the boundary of the atom itself. So in fact, the rotation of the fields of the plasma of the blood and rotation of the field of the soul of the cells of the man in respect to the totality of the soul of the man dictates the dimension of the physicality of it. Now we see more and more. Now we understand more. Now we understand how by weakening or strengthening the plasma of the physicality, we can increase or reduce the position of the soul of the man in respect to the soul of the planet. Maybe mankind now understands more. Why? How? The way its height, its shape is created. In the past, in the world of the man who understood this process of creation, understood what we call the gyration. As we see in many ways, as I said in the teaching of many years ago, maybe 2-3 years ago, why do the Jewish people shake their head back and forth when they pray? Because they try to find a point of direct reference between the soul of the physicality and the soul of the man. That in that point they could be elevated. They could find what we call solitude, what we call elevation of the soul of the man, what we call to be enlightened. This is why when we see many Jewish boys, many of the religious people rock, trying to find that pitch, that point where the line of the force of enforcement of the soul and the physicality soul come in line, little sparks trying to catch. As we said to our friends very recently, and I explained this many years ago in some of the teachings, that now we understand how Sufis have come to understand this process. Why do Sufis dance and rotate? In so many ways, that gyration, reduction in the blood circulation to a lower part of the physical body of the man, allows the soul of the man to expand beyond the boundary of what we call physical brain of the man. This is why Sufis rotate at given the speed. It's that centrifuge, it's that core which we create, and that increases and enlightens the enlightenment. Many of you say, how do we know our water is gans? How have we created the gans? Ganses don't freeze, ganses, that's how we can identify. It's very simple. You try to get the natural water in a bowl and rotate it and see what the space can be seen between. And then put the gas water or gas in the same bowl and rotate it. You will see a hollow center. You'll see the center of energy. That hollow, that bubble is not empty. It's the center of the most powerful strength which that liquid can manifest. That liquid can bring about to exist. Then you understand more. In so many ways, when a Sufi turns and turns, and he can maintain a momentum in conjunction and in the ratio to the speed of the rotation of this planet, then the Sufi reaches enlightenment. And if you understood why the Sufis wear white clothes, those Sufis who have reached the point of the elevation, they will shine, they become the light. This is the reason the original Sufis got to wear everything white, because at that point, the physicality of the man and the soul of the man will be nothing but white. It'll be enlightened soul, it'll be enlightened physicality. In the process, when the Sufi turns, it becomes a centrifuge element, where in fact the totality of the energy of the physical soul, plus and including the soul of the man itself, creates the hollow center in the dimension of the strength of the field, and that it just shines. It breaks through all barriers. In so many ways, it becomes so gravitational that it becomes magnetical. And then the Sufi is enlightened. Those true Sufis, many never return. Because the strength of the soul of the Sufi, the strength of the true soul of the man, then takes over. Mankind looks in the dimension of reality to understanding of his own, what we call stupidity. And he hides his intelligence behind so many games that man himself become fooled by his own foolishness. But the reality is, and the facts which will shine on all of us, is mankind ready to go through the transition? Is mankind ready? Somebody's microphone is open. Is mankind ready to take that leap, that bridge, that step, that weakness in the strength of his soul to find out about himself? Would we bring mankind to the point of submission to his own soul, that in that process will change the mankind? In nowadays, we tell you, if you want to have this, you have the health set. And then you can do this or that. Would in a coming time, people will ask that we have to have the soul certificate. That have we been through the machine, have we been through the system of the enhancement? That we can see what it is. Are you enlightened? Have you seen the truth about yourself? And that truth, has it changed you? Has it brought to face the reality? Then, as I said, many of us will start understanding why at this stage we have introduced the enhancement system. Then you come to understand, would we allow those who call themselves our leaders that they have to have certification, that what they commit themselves to bring for the nation or for the race they represent shall be the truth? And would we ask, this is not the truth machine about others to know, it's for you to understand, to become humble enough to serve the humanity. Then when we get blonde presidents, and when we get those who have a black skin, and by killing staying power for years, then would there be any man who will stand to be a leader? Would any man will take the seat of leadership as the man find out about his own weaknesses? Mankind is going through a massive transition in 2022. As we see the new developments, as we are developing more and more and adding, as our knowledge seekers who are involved in developing the systems understand for themselves how much is be and how much will be gifted to us. Would we be enlightened with the knowledge of the universe, instantaneous, once we are in these systems? Would we allow a filtering system that mankind can understand up to a point when it goes into this? It's a very interesting point. As we come to this use of these systems, and as we bring it to a point of perfection, then it does everything we need. Then it comes to understand, is the soul of the man the possessor of the totality of the knowledge of the universe? Or, as I said before, like a child in a classroom, while listening to the teacher, he's got his ear outside listening who's playing football to go and play. Would we see that our soul, while is listening to the physicality of the man, what to do, he has the other ear to the universal community and to the soul of the creator? What is going on? What is there I need to know to elevate and to change? That a very interesting point arises, and that is, would mankind uses the new science and technology of the soul of the man to elevate himself and the soul of others to become, to be
Bear with us. I think Mr. Keshe has some, I think there's some interference on the other side. So I think he shut off his microphone so we don't get that. And I'm sure he'll be back shortly.
sorry about that. I had to stop. We are in transit, flying to different destinations. And when the announcement goes, we have to stop. We take the flight in a physical dimension. But very soon we'll take flight with the soul of the man. For those of you who understand or may question, why do we still take a flight with these fancy metal birds where we have the knowledge? In our position, there is a knowledge to fly the way we came on this planet to enlighten the man. We can live the same way, but the only thing is that, as they say, when you're in Rome, do as Romans do. And in so many ways, mankind will soon understand the way we take the flight of fancy, our flights within the dimension of the soul of the man, and then there is a big question. Would there be a room for airports? Or do we sit and we say, I want to sit 18 hours waiting for the flight? Or
Bear with us today. There may be some interruptions due to our broadcasting locale. Thank you for your patience, Mr. Keshe.
Yep, sorry about that.
Yep, there we are.
Yeah, I'm back. It's just the announcement goes in 3 languages. Wait, all the languages are done. And then the beauty of it is when you travel with the soul of the man, it's only 1 language. And that's the language of the soul of the man. And it'll be very interesting how we adapt to these changes and how we will face these changes. One of the most important parts of the new teachings is we take pause, we stop, we go slow for so many of the men to understand the point of the elevation, the point of understanding their own soul. Man has ignored it for thousands of years. Now, how can man so fast try to change? Every person we meet, 9 out of 10 in past months, in past weeks, they always, after a while of talking, they say, you know, you start talking about and teaching about the soul. Can you tell us more? We want to know. It seems the point with cancers, with the flight system, with the magap system and everything else took one or some people interested in it. But when it comes to the point of the soul of the man, everyone is interested because now we understand. Very interesting point which is raised for us is that in the recent past, many religious leaders listening to these teachings have started teaching but converting it into their own language, and thus it's the finding of their own religion. How long more the churches and the mosques and synagogues are going to lie to the people? Now that they have developed understanding, as people from different religious groups listen to these teachings, now they are trying to catch up. They're trying to build something new. They're trying to speak about the truth of the soul of the man in so many ways as it's already been in the books of the past. And now they are explaining it more. is not important. As long as you can enlighten the flock can take to the new understanding of the flights of the soul of the man. This is our purpose. We cannot put the teaching and the progress of the soul of the man on the USB stick and give it to those fake men of God in different robes, as we did with the knowledge of physicality to the presidents and the rulers of this planet and then to the mankind. In so many ways, now we see more and more people of religion listening to these teachings are teaching.
This announcement is for passengers traveling on
I'm back again. This time was in 2 languages, so it's short. So what is important and what we see is not only the knowledge seekers are woken up to the new knowledge, but so do the religious people. At the beginning, knowledge seekers were interested in Ganses. Then we saw the government being interested in UFOs and spaceships and how they can capture each other's plane. And in past few weeks, we see a surge by clergy who listen and now want to transfer the knowledge as the progress of the religion, as the man matures. This is all good. This is all the same as we taught you how to make pains and ganses. Now the clergy teach how to reach the soul, how to understand this. Now we have brought the physicality of the man and abuses of the soul of the man together on the same line. But there is one point for those clergy who listen. Do you have a physical life? Do you have the dimension of the existence in the dimension of the soul of the man? And how many of the clergy will walk into these enhancement rooms? As I said, we cannot certify the systems for enlightenment and enhancement of the soul of the man. There is no CE certificate for enhancement of the soul, and no Vatican has come up with a certification from the church. Maybe the soul of the, what we call Padre, as he said, it will be the last Pope. It's true, as the soul knows that time has come. Maybe we enlighten enough that the truth shall be shown, that the last man standing is the man himself, as I said before, in the presence of his soul. Now, how do we do this? The new technology which is delivered, and the new technology which will not be replicated by man in totality, as the man will not understand, carries one thing, and that is the essence and connection with the soul of the creator, with the soul of the system in the dimension of physicality, as is with a man and its creator. In electronic games, we call it the booster, we call it rectifier, we call it a tracer. In every shape or form we might want to use it. Would it boost the dimension of the physicality, that the soul of the physicality reaches the level of the soul of the man, and it boosts it to show itself? One of the most interesting things with this new technology and understanding of the soul is one fact, and that is no one is immune from the truth. No one would be immune from the truth. As what we call one of the more leaders said, will I have to face the fact? And only to my soul and only to myself. As I said before, many people have noticed one thing. When we have to understand the judgment, to understand the position of our own soul. As I was explaining with one of the world leaders, and what we call to be the world leaders, was, did you ever notice, did you ever trace the picture, statue of Obama 2 weeks or 3 weeks before, when he was proud to announce the killing of Bin Laden? As I said before in the teachings, now do we hear from the man as such? We hear from a lot of past presidents after the leaders, but in so many ways, Obama has disappeared. He's disappeared in a thin air, which he's there, appears in very small presentations. But if you look at the future of the man, weeks after what he allowed, he had to make a decision. He sat there with very much the earphone of the sharpshooter in his ear. Sir, I'm waiting for instruction. And he had to give the instruction. He had to accept the responsibility, because all the ones in the room were Christians. And the implication of it was huge. And he was the only man who could say, yes, shoot, take the life. I wonder if you put Obama in the system, what will we hear from him? He came in so many ways after that point. The ruthlessness of the behavior of the soul of the man appeared. As we said, maybe these gaps today, it's very good that many of us think, contemplate, and understand where we go, what we do, and where we would like to be. One of the biggest questions for me is very simple. These systems, when we launch them, I wonder how many of you will come If you want to enhance your condition from anything which might have eczema, you might think you have a Parkinson, or you have something else that you want to work and find out. How many of you will actually come and pay to say, I want to know my soul? I want to know the position of myself before I leave. I want to know where I stand. I cannot do it on my own. I've tried everything. But would I be able to go in? Would I be able to stand the position and the condition of knowing where my soul goes? How many of you, the way you go to the world of dream and you speak to your uncles and mothers and fathers of the past time, will come to see these machines as a way to communicate, to enhance your soul, but in the dimension of physicality, the way you go to a kiosk and you call mom at home while you're in France to the United States. Now you find new ways to reach soul to soul, to the dimension of physicality of meeting what you could not say to the father and mother before they left. This is one of the biggest points that we come to understand. We come to be, we want to sit and understand. I want to see who, what did I say? How can I mend faces? How can I mend fences with my parents? How could I see and how could I understand? And how far can I push the dimension of the life? How much, to what extent can I face the truth to myself? What have I done wrong? Or what can I change that will not happen to me and to others? And in so many ways, how can I clear the condition that when I come to depart or decide to depart from the dimension of the physicality, my life I have put right, I have corrected, I have not mismanaged. I have brought a dimension of the reality to the dimension of physicality. Many of you will use these technologies in new ways, in new dimensions, in so many ways. This is to enhance the connection, the line and the dimension to what we call the past. Would the mankind come to understand more and more? Now you understand what is hidden within the structure of the enhancement. In reality, as one of the, what we call rich guys says, can I buy one to be private at home? That no one knows the truth about me and I can change things in my own dimension, in my own position and in my own strength. That there are no witnesses to my doing. In talking to those who decide the future, will come to understand the future is within the man. The future is within the grasp of the man, not in the dimension of physicality, but in the dimension of the soul of the man. As I said, step by step, over coming time, we will release more and more knowledge about the enhancement systems. Would you like to create? Would you like to face? Would you like to see, in so many ways, what is set for the future of your soul through the understanding of the dimension of the physicality? As I always said, and I repeat, mankind will come to this technology not out of the love of it, but out of the fear of its own demise. And many thought it will be used for weapon technology, and many thought it will be used for defense. And many thought for man to take himself to the depth of the space to find new dimension. But now you understand the truth. These systems, in so many ways, are there to allow the man to find himself, to find the dimension of physicality of himself, to find in a way the dimension of the past and the future. As I said, one of the knowledge seekers asked me a simple question. If I bring a hair of mine or a hair from anyone, can you bring me? Can you take me? Can you allow me? Can the system bring me to the point to be able to be in touch with the soul of the possessor? And in so many ways, it's not impossible if you understood the totality of the process of using the technology. I open these doors very, very slowly. I open these doors to the point that totality can be understood by many, but in so many ways, many becomes too many, and it becomes all of us. Or when we leave these systems, would we go to our loved ones and says, do you know this? Do you know that? Did you know what happened? Because you made yourself a telephone call through the soul call to the dimension of the new strength. You remember, as I said before, you used to go to telephone kiosks and you made a call. And now we have a new dimension in what we call the new mobile phone. Within the future, as we see it, will create new dimensions in that process with the soul of the man, with the mobile systems, that we can go through the transition much faster and no need to be locked up in position. These systems are already in hand, but mankind is not ready for it. And in so many ways, we decide where and when and how to be part of this process. Mankind needs to understand. Mankind needs to grow up. Mankind needs to elevate its own soul. That is not the last man standing. Maybe we reach the point of break from the past and the start of the new future. Maybe the enhancement unit will enhance us. Maybe in the time to come, we find not a new confession box as it's tradition in the Catholic Church, but we find a way to find and confess to ourselves in the dimension of our own souls and physicality, that what it needs to be put right. We take command of our physical life by understanding through our soul what we have done wrong, which or what we need to do, which we have denied ourselves to. Is mankind ready for this transition? This is our biggest question. This is one of the biggest questions to come. As I said, we are aiming and targeting the system to be operational on the 30th of January 2020. And then you understand, 60 days for mankind to start, to look forward, to be able to do. As I was talking to one of the knowledge seekers, would a new way will be shown that the mankind will take the highway to understand his own totality, a highway to the path of the Creator. Today, we take flights from airports and runways. Would we, in a few months' time, take flight in a dimension to different position of the universe through understanding of new technology? And how far would us be real to ourselves? Would we be able to bring, as I said, a nail cutting or a hair cutting of a man and bring it to the condition of the soul of the man? And then we allow it to confess. We allow it not to confess, but to let us know what is done. And As a mother said to me very recently, if I bring the head of the red circle, would his soul tell me the truth about where my child is? And I said, that is possible. Would, if I lost a child, would I be able to find out where the child is? As I have a hair lock, as I have a scent of it. And I say, yes, it is possible. This is what we see, and this is what is to come. Nothing will be hidden. Nothing will be hidden. But don't forget one thing. Those who took the pictures in the home of trust have left a lot of fingerprints in the home of trust too. And those can be used. We are ready to elevate. We are ready to elevate the soul of the man. But would the mankind be able to understand that elevation? In so many ways, I gave you a hint very, very recently. I said, if you give me the skull of the man, I'll make the man. And in so many ways, those who claim they have the relics of the Christ, very soon will show if it's the truth or not. And those who believe in the path of Muhammad, when we touch the clothes of the Muhammad, who expresses his name, who is in the position of the Saudi royal family, would we find the beauty of Muhammad in the presence of his soul. Will shake the mankind, is the structure of his life to his soul, to his bone, to his structure, that in time mankind understands there is no way to hide and there is no room to go back to. We don't need blood tests to be given by the courts and be hidden. One hair, the soul will speak. There is no ruler which hides from me. Now you understand how powerful mankind has become. Mankind has become powerful enough to understand the work of his own soul, to understand the work of his own physicality, and to understand that the time of the truth, with the enhancement of the soul of the man, will bring many realities. What the future holds different. As I said before, a lot of this silence time gives us the time to think. As I said, we will not be able to produce enough systems, not for the physical or enhancement of the man through his soul, but through the dimension of creation of new condition for understanding the soul. What will be interesting for many, many of you will be a simple point. When we go into the system, if you are a father and you have a post to enhance your soul.
Sorry, Mr. Keshe, you couldn't hear that last sentence. Your voice.
I said, if you're a father and you go into a system for a prostate cancer, And you're hoping through the enhancement of the soul of the man to find a, what we call the solution for your physical demise. Would your soul bring you to see the reason? Would you come to understand, to hear the voice of your child? What you've done wrong to him, that you blame him for your own lack of understanding. And would your plea to be correct reach the soul of your son, to elevate him? That in a way we don't need to go getting chemotherapy to sort out their cancer, but in a way we elevate the soul of your son through your own connection and understanding of your pain, that the physicality takes a new course. You were looking for physical, we look at the elevation of the soul. Thus the mankind will take a new course. And without a doubt, we shall. Will the mankind go through the next step of elevation? Do we need clinics to hide it? Or do we need a new dimension of critics of our own soul to be enlightened? And this is what we are looking for. This is what we think the time has come. And in so many ways, today's teaching is for mankind to understand the day of judgment is the day when you decide, or would it be for many of us? As you will come to understand, would the soul of the man will see the point of? Would we choose the point of our departure? Would we use this new understanding of the soul of the man to create a new dimension, a new understanding, make and mend our ways in our lives? Would we create a condition that, knowing the truth about the condition of our own soul, will create a new condition for our dimension of physicality? Many, many of knowledge seekers, as I said, will walk away and deny everything because they have to enter these systems due to illness or due to challenges of life. And then what would be the answer? Would there be a kingship? Would there be anyone which would like to be on the seat of kingdom and kingship? Then it comes the question for all of us. Are we the passengers, or do we passengers? Would we understand more about ourselves? And would this enlightenment about ourselves we bring a new dimension in our behavior, in our national behavior, in our leaders' behavior, and in so many ways? Would we challenge our leaders' strength before any leadership? And would there be any conception? Would there be any?
Sorry, Mr. Keshe, we can't hear you right now. It's too muffled.
Can you hear me now?
Can you
hear me now?
That's a little better. Yes, thank you.
As I said, we are in the airport. We have to depart, and I hope I brought you a new knowledge, a new way to think, and a new way to see. And I hope in time to come, mankind will learn new ways. Mankind will come to understand to be kind, and in so many ways, time has come to change many kindnesses which man thought he had. And in so many ways was the cause of many hardships and many causes of problems in the past, and will not stop until the man understands his own ways. I have to leave this up on the front. And in so many ways, the show teaching today was very powerful teaching today for those who understood. And what we call the quiet times in between, it was a time to contemplate. Thank you very much for today. And we say goodbye to this beautiful city of Dubai and the kingdom and shades of this as we will do, yes. And in time will come time that we'll return to many places we've been, as we left this city some 3 years ago, and by invitation to leave this come. And in the short time we stayed here in the city of Dubai, we learned a lot of new changes, and we thank for their leadership in bringing the nation and these people to a new dimension of understanding, physical dimension of life. Does not bring happiness and joy. Thank you very much for today, and we'll see you next week.
Very, very good. Thank you, Mr. Keshe. Just so people know that we'll have a short workshop this week because of Mr. Keshe being in transit, as we discovered today. And sorry for some of the audio problems there. We'll try to get a transcript of this workshop out as soon as we can. Okay, that I believe, is there any other announcements from anyone before we wrap up for today? Okay, thank you everyone for attending the 304th Knowledge Seekers Workshop for Thursday, November 28th, 2019. And this has been a broadcast of the Keshe Foundation Spaceship Institute Education Department and part of the public teachings in English. Okay, thanks everyone. Thank you, Flint, for being there as well. And of course, we thank Mr. Keshe for today's workshop. And we'll see you same time next week for Knowledge Seekers Workshop, as well as we have the One Nation, One Planet, One Race for World Peace coming up on Tuesday of next week. Okay, everyone. Bye for now.
Hello, we are the Keshe Foundation. Our mission is to bring peace on earth and join humanity with the universal community. We wish and work to bring man as equal to all the beings in the universe. By teaching the plasma science and technology equally to everyone, no one is left out and no one is abused due to lack of knowledge. Your donation helps us in achieving this goal. Donate to keshefoundation.org/donate.